Welcome to Money on Tap. Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this show. We look at all sides of the issues, and we bring a fully independent planning perspective to the table.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. My name is Seth Krussman, here with Ben Brayshaw and Dan Mickelin. Happy New Year's, you guys. How are you in 2024?
Just getting going, really. But, 23 was really just a terrific year. So I'm still kind of in that afterglow period, I think. Not quite ready for the transition, but I think this show is going to, help me get focused in on it, and hopefully some of you listeners as well.
I don't know about you guys, but, the new year comes and I'm like, I got this energy going. You guys know I do. I got this energy going. It's like I got a whole new start. There's something new to do, something to go after, something to conquer, something to make better, do differently. I don't know. I feel like, that's why I guess everyone signs up for a gym membership on January 1st.
Feeling strong, right?
Yeah, feeling like I got to get this done, So I don't know about you guys, but there's just this energy to the new year where you're like, but there's also like this lull right after Christmas. That lull, like right after Christmas, you're like, it's 12 months from now. It's 12 more months. Like, that's a long time. I remember it as a kid. That seemed like forever. But now it's like, sometimes I feel like I'm just checking off Christmases.
Yeah, since my kids have been in grade school, I've noticed it differently. That's just like a weird week. That one between Christmas and New Year's, it's just a strange time. Just reminds me of like COVID or something. You just kind of like
you have PTSD, Dan?
Disassociated from reality. Just like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I'd say after a week like that, you're ready for some change. It's like you kind of get to the end of your wits with, the kids not doing anything, walking around the house being bored after playing with their new toys for 5 minutes or whatever. And, I'm ready. I'm ready for something new. I'm ready to launch. And that's what we're about to get into today on Money on Tap. And if you're new to Money on Tap, where did you find us? Are you listening to us on the podcast? Great. We appreciate the subscribe. Give us anywhere from 3 to 5 stars. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever you want to give us. If there's a review and you want to help us out, that would be awesome. And what else in that? Oh, yes. If you do that, please send us an email at info@yourmoneyontap, because what we'd like to do is send you something to just say thank you. And we've got a lot of fun stuff over here at Money on Tap, some gear, some giveaway stuff, and just want to just appreciate you for being a part of this community with us. And this, you know what? It's darn near a movement. It is. If you've been here with Money on Tap with us for a while, you're on it. You're doing stuff. You're engaging in your finances. You're improving and becoming a more successful investor. You're taking something with us through the week, and you're growing. And that's exciting for us here. And we love that you give us the place to do that with you. And, the least we can do is thank you and send you something out, just in appreciation. Also, with that, you can subscribe to our newsletter. If you haven't done that, it's a digital video that just kind of keeps you up to date and says, hey, here's what's going on right now in the current environment. That's all a part of you just sending that little love letter to us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And if you don't want to be a part of that, then don't do it. That's fine too. We get it. But either way, glad you found us here on the radio, or if you're on radio, go find us on the podcast, subscribe. All that stuff to be said. We've got a show for you today where we're getting into, it's the new year. We're talking about the new you. What are you doing for you? But I want to say something with that is inside of these resolutions, how resolute are you in those? How can you become resolute in your resolutions? You're probably bringing forward some of the last ones from last year, the last 10 years. I don't know what those look like for you. Maybe you threw in the towel and were like, I'm living the dream every day, no matter what. That's the way I'm doing it. The question is, right, how can we start to move the needle and make some of these changes a little more permanent in our moving forward? Most people go to the gym, January 1 through 6, and maybe
2.
It falls off. 2 through 6. It falls off exponentially from there until March. It's no more. what we're going to focus on today is kind of taking some steps in our finances and really making some of those improvements permanent for you. So I think I said that about 5 different ways. That's the way I usually speak. It's a little circular, redundant, but I want to make sure I captured each and every one of you that needed to hear it, however you need to hear it. With that, do we have anything else to add to that, gentlemen?
It's good.
I think you said it 5 ways well, Seth.
5 ways. 5. All right, good. I got all 5 of the love languages.
Oh yeah, baby.
Here.
Good work.
Except for the touch. I wasn't able to give you a hug this morning, Ben. I'm sorry.
I will say, thank goodness. I will say though, it's like I really do appreciate. My son Colin was telling me that a number of his friends at college listen to our podcast, and I think that's cool. I think that's really great. There's nothing that makes me more excited to know that there's varying degrees of demographics that are listening to us and trying to learn and further their financial knowledge, because it's so important. I mean, even the Bible, it's like one of the money is talked about constantly in the Bible. And if it's not really part of your everyday, you're missing out. There's just so much to learn and to grow. So yeah, if you're listening to us, whether it's podcast, radio, share the news. Let everyone know. Get as many subscribers as possible. It helps other people learn. It helps us build this concept of education throughout the listenership and so forth. So please go out and share.
Ooh, that's a selfless thing to do. I'm with you on that. With that, it's time for Money in the News.
Up first from Megan Henney of Fox Business. The U.S. national debt tops $34 trillion for the first time in history. And that's just a number that, it's just absolutely incredible that we have managed to run this country into the red by $34 trillion. Absolutely incredible. And to put it into perspective, just 4 decades ago, which is a long time, but the national debt at that point was $907 billion.
Not even a trillion.
Right. It's a different letter at the beginning. It's like a whole different magnitude of money, right? When you change that first letter, it's like things change quick. You just really went up the scale.
I thought it was interesting that the interest in 2022, it goes from $475 billion to $1.4 trillion by 2032 in the next decade. So at some point in time during these next 5 or 6 years, the interest alone will be more than the national debt it was 40 years ago. Just the interest on the debt. I was like, holy smokes. it's just so hard to quantify what these numbers are.
2022 is 97% of our GDP. So that, to kind of frame that in terms of reference, it's like every dollar that every American produced, either through earnings or producing a product, is like if we literally just worked for the government for a full year and collected absolutely nothing, that's what it would take to get us out of our debt.
90 cents of every dollar?
And 97% of GDP.
97 cents of every dollar.
Right, yeah.
Just to wipe out the debt.
Just for the whole country, every single one of us, man, woman, and child, just cranking away for Uncle Sam.
I think you should volunteer for that, Dan.
I feel like I'm doing it anyway. But, I don't know where the other 300 million of us are, but, let's get on board, guys. Come on.
Well, I think one thing is, for a whole New Year's show, we should encourage our Congress to get out of debt. That would be what I think our Congress should be resolute about their resolution. So, next up, Wall Street landlords create, quote, build-to-rent neighborhoods from scratch amid low housing stock. This is an article by Ariel Zilber.
It's New York Post.
New York Post. As I was reading the article, Dan, Seth, I was kind of thinking about the idea that there's so many different generations that are moving from the apartments that want their own home, but they don't want the hassle of managing a house. And so there's this entire movement, and about 10% of homes, new construction being done, is build to rent, which is what the article points out, which is massive. But the idea that the investment class can invest in property, they can build it cheaper because they're building lots of homes on one lot for less money because they're doing them all at the same time. Tenants are usually of higher net worth because they want a home. And secondly, the properties are new, so it attracts a very specific tenant too. So it's really interesting that this development is going on in our industry, especially with the rising interest rates. And I think, some of the attraction here, as I was thinking through the investment side of this piece, some of the attraction to this is if you don't want to get into a high interest rate mortgage on a new house sold at top dollar, you might be able to rent a home for cheaper just because of that.
There's a lot to be said inside of this that's just not said. And the demographics piece, who is it that's buying this out here and why? And when you take a look at the financials around a house, it's a long-term investment. I mean, really, it's around 5 years before you start turning any kind of a profit out in your primary residence is typically what the numbers shake out like. So if you're not even sure you're going to be around in 5 years because my job might move me XYZ, and that's very much a part of our conversation with most of our clients is they're working in tech and tech moves them, or they have opportunities to go and live different places. So why wouldn't I just kind of plug and play? I don't want to rent an apartment. And even then, the other demographic here, that the very high-end apartments that we have in some of our portfolios, people love it because it has pretty much all of the amenities, the beautiful pool, the beautiful, acreage, and the grass is all taken care of. It's all, you plug and play. But maybe you just kind of outgrow that and you want a little different lifestyle. It offers all of those things to that percentage of the population, which is, it's a large and a growing demographic among us. It's a very different world from what we grew up in, or even, 15 years ago, where, the ideal was, I buy my house. I own my house. I stay here, community, and I'm plugged in. And that's just a changing part of the world we live in.
Seth, I'm glad that you mentioned the 5-year thing, because we have been living in kind of this unusual scenario over the last few years of where people could buy property and just sell it a year or two later and make a crazy amount of money, because we've seen bump after bump after bump on real estate, because there's a lot of people who are moving out of the city saying, you know what? Well, I don't know if you remember, but years ago we did an article on how I think it was Gen Zers or millennials and all of that were just basically saying they never saw their parents make money on their home. There was like a period of time that there was just no real growth from start to finish because there was a massive dip and then a recover. But now you kind of have this whole new wave of things going on where people are saying, wow, the real estate market's booming. But again, now you have all these people saying, I don't want to get stuck in the next COVID crisis. I want a home with a backyard, so I'm stuck in an apartment building for, 6 months or a year. Like that fear, I think, has escalated. I'm just guessing, but I mean, that's my thinking around some of this craziness.
Also, with that, as you're talking about that, I just completely forgot, how low housing inventory is, and how many times do we hear stories about people coming in with solid cash above asking offers just a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
it's like, how do I get into a home? I'm like, I want out of this situation I'm in, and I do want a newer home, or I just want a home. That's another attractive piece to it as well.
Well, second homes are on the massive rise too. So, I mean, the second home can be that I have a condo and a house. I go to the country, I go to this, I go to that, and then I go back into the city and I have my place to stay.
It's really an incredible environment. If you just think of all the trends that we've just lived through in the last few years in the whole real estate world, I mean,
it's hard to say trends, literally trends.
Multiple trends.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody was flipping houses. That was red hot for like 5 or 6 years, right? If you owned a hammer, you were flipping houses. And it's just, obviously that can't work, right? It can't go on forever. But
Can I flip a house if I have a stapler, Dan?
Probably. You get that wallpaper up real good. But it's a little bit off topic, but it reminded me that like the literal best marketing piece I've ever seen. I received at my house here in Bedford, New Hampshire, and it was a local real estate agent, and it just listed all of the homes that she sold in the last 30 days and how many days she had it on market, and they were all under like 15, 16 days. And not the sale price, but the percentage above list. It was all 110, 102, 130.
Hey,
and you just look at it, and
wow.
basically the bottom's like, call me if you want to sell.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is super simple, but like, what a story it was telling. It was incredible.
If you're going to live in a hole like Bedford, I guess that's what happens.
Analysts predict surprising new Magnificent Seven stocks for 2024. Matt Krantz, thank you so much. And this is from Investors Business Daily. This is really fun for us because we just live and breathe in stocks in the market and portfolios, and it's just exciting for us. The times now are really exciting for us for sure when we've come through this huge AI push, and to find some of these household names like Nvidia and Microsoft and just the Meta, and I'm trying to remember all of the 7 at the moment, but we've got, what was it? NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Apple. Those were the big ones in there, but we've got a couple new players here, which one of them being Exxon. Who would have thought? Exxon is supposed to become one of the new Magnificent Seven, as well as Berkshire Hathaway, which I just love seeing Buffett in there, and it makes perfect sense to me when you're talking about somebody that kills it in this world. Why wouldn't the Berkshire Hathaway be in this Magnificent Seven? Because that's what people with smart money are doing these days, is paying attention to what Buffett's been doing. Yeah, and with that, we're going to see some heads roll, and we're going to see some of the marketplace change over.
One of the things I saw when I was looking at this article was, a little bit of a cautionary tale, right? I remember coming into 23 was doom and gloom on the heels of a down market, and recession was imminent. And now we've ridden through 24, and the Nasdaq in particular, and these kind of techie AI stocks have been through the roof. But the prediction here is, again, well, that will continue. And the first couple of days of 24 have told us maybe not.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So, they are the Magnificent Seven, and their outweighted returns relative to the S&P and the indexes we track it's apparent, it's obvious, it's there. But, I read this a little bit more cautiously, saying some of these stories, I think, some of the AI wave has potentially crested, at least from a stock valuation. The technology is going to go on. How it changes our lives will continue to be the case. But exactly where the investable sweet spot in all that lies, I think, is yet to really shake out. And that's just kind of my thoughts around this Magnificent Seven. If you can buy and hold it for 20 years, I think you'd be fine. I think you could possibly lose, quite honestly, with all these things. But relative to what at least the beginnings of 24 and throughout the remainder of this year, what those positions might look like, I can see it being a little bit rocky in some of those names.
Well, I think it's interesting because the original Magnificent Seven were really, other than when you think about NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Alphabet, or Google, 5 of those names are pure tech. There's really no infrastructure around like buying a backpack off a it's all tech. When you get to Tesla, you're like, is it a tech company or a car manufacturer? And that's a whole nother conversation. And then when you get to Amazon, are they tech or are they delivering? Because really, when you think about, AWS, which is their server, supply system, like that, truth be told, is one of their most profitable, allocations of their company. That is the big part of them. So the Magnificent Seven was really a tech play, and it worked out because tech skyrocketed. But I'm not sure that tech's going to be the ultimate winner today. But I would say that tech plays a role in almost everything we do today. Like we've had this conversation over and over again. What defines tech? What is not technology?
Yeah, I think that's the bigger question: is what isn't tech anymore?
I think we're going to come to the conclusion of what's not an AI influenced company. I think these conversations are going to continue to roll out to become more and more of an issue to try to understand how to diversify from something that's not tech. Like when the Nasdaq goes down, is your commodities company or your is Johnson & Johnson going to be so affected by tech that when the tech market goes down, it goes down? It's just 1,000 questions I have about what tech is. But
on the heels of that a little bit, I think one of the more interesting pieces in this as well is that it's Berkshire. It's a conglomerate. It's really owning what I'm trying to remember what the last percentage was that they own of Apple. So if you're,
they're 49% in Apple. They're 49% in Apple. So
49%. Yeah, right. It's not, and then they call it diversified in the article, which I was like, nah, that's not diversified when you've got 49% of your holdings in one.
Well, you're
company,
either.
But,
if you own one stock, you're not diversified at all. If you own 2, you're partially diversified. When are you fully diversified, right? You're diversified at some point the second you own 2 stocks or 2 investments. So I don't know, Seth. But yeah, Berkshire Hathaway, I'm glad they put it in there, but you might as well just left Apple.
Right? Well said. Well, you are listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are going to be talking about becoming or how to become resolute in your resolutions. And in the meantime, we appreciate you going and subscribing to Money on Tap and the podcast, leaving us a couple of stars there. Leave us a note. Send us a message at info@yourmoneyontap.com. Oh, one other thing. It's tax season. And with that, you probably didn't know that we have resources available for you here at Brayshaw Financial Group. If you are interested in getting some help in that world and really understanding it, please send us a message at info@yourmoneyontap.com and just put tax in the subject. Let us know, and then we know how to help you out. All right, that's what we're going to do right after this message. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Dan Mickle on a Brayshaw Financial Group. Are you looking for professional guidance to kickstart your investing journey? Look no further. Brayshaw Financial Advisors are here to help. Our team of experts will provide you personalized advice tailored to your financial goals. Visit us at BrayshawFinancial.com today and schedule your free consultation. Brayshaw Financial, investing made easy.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more Money on Tap with Ben, Seth, and Dan.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We're going to be getting into how to become more resolute in your resolutions. And with that, can you guess what the favorite or some of the favorites of New Year's resolutions are when it comes to finances? I bet you will never guess what the number one is. And that's usually paying off debt. Paying off debt after that big Christmas bonus that we know all of you rely on it every year. I'm laughing because I'm like, I don't remember the last time I heard about a Christmas bonus. I think that's me reverting back to movies in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up, hearing about those Christmas bonuses coming through, and the whole movie's hinged on the Christmas bonus, right? Whether or not the kids got the skateboard, whatever it was that they were getting at
the in-ground pool, Seth. The in-ground pool.
Oh, the all-time classic. I forgot. How could I forget the in-ground pool? We know that's the way a lot of finances roll. Is Christmas comes through and it's like, well, here's the card. Here we go. And now Christmas is over, and we spend a lot of time focusing on trying to get rid of some of that debt that we've accumulated over the year. And that's a good one. That's a really good one. It's a healthy one for us to focus on first.
I think being resolute in your resolutions, comes to a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. And I think you're right, Seth. Paying off debt is the number one checkbox that everyone wants to live by. I mean, and it's a great one. It's what everyone should focus and want to have. The best one is to be able to save, right? Like, so once you pay off the debt, like, how do you save? And there's a balance between those things, and people get kind of lost in the minutia, and it becomes a little overwhelming. I don't know about you guys, but when I start thinking about all the things I have to do financially, right? Like, hey, I'm a financial planner. I do this every day. We talk to people about financial management, but it doesn't mean that I'm not without the same conflicts that everyone else has. Like, I walk into Best Buy, it's like, oh, I want that one. Like I walk into a car dealership, oh, I like that one. And do you have it with all these extra bells and whistles? I mean, we all have those same conversations. And the truth is that, you really need to focus on what you can afford. Buy what you can afford. I mean, it's a truth to that. And so how do you determine some of those pieces? And I think the first thing is you want to get rid of or reduce your debt. There's also good debt and there's bad debt, right? And there's also ways to manage debt. So as you're kind of going through this process, some people are like, I really want to pay off my house. Well, that's a wonderful goal. But if you get to retirement and your house is paid off and you have no other assets, then you may have, shot yourself in the foot, especially today when your interest rate on your house might be 2 or 3%. I mean, if you can we had this conversation with somebody just the other day. Yeah. If your interest rate's 2 or 3% and you're paying extra money down on your mortgage every month, that sounds awesome. That sounds so financially wonderful. But the truth is if you put that extra few $1,000s away in a savings account or money market at 5%, it seems normal to me to think if I can make 5 and it's only going to cost me 3, I'm netting 2%. That seems like simple math, but for a lot of people, that's not really that obvious. And I think we take that for granted because we're financial planners, and it seems like, I'm going to pause for a minute. When we had the conversation with a person, they were like, that seems so small. That seems like such a small thing to talk about in kind of the conversation. And it was like, when you're making adjustments to life, you don't just turn the wheel of the car a full 90 degrees in an instantaneous second. You start making we talk about all the different adjustments. It sounds little, but it's really big because when you multiply 2% over 30 years, right, Dan?
Yeah, 5% in a risk-free, quote, air quotes going on there, investment at the bank. That's not small. That's exciting. We haven't had the opportunity to talk about something like that in forever. And, so in our day and our lives, we're watching the markets every day. If it's up 1% or down 1%, that's a massive move. So for 5%, it's a big number to us.
Yeah.
That's, do you want 5% more or 5% less? That's a 10-point swing. So, there are opportunities inside of this rate environment where if you have low interest debt, there are ways to kind of trick your way into it. We just bought a bedroom set on 0% interest for 2 years, and this was actually my wife's idea, and it's the most financially efficient thing I've ever heard her say. But she's just like, well, we'll just take the money, we'll put it aside in a interest-bearing money market at 5.5%.
Set it up to pay.
And we just spent 5.5% less on our 2 years worth of our bed set. And I'm just like, wow, she beat me to it.
But the thing is as you're kind of addressing debt, it's really important that you're smart about it. Like if you have a 12 or 15 or 20% credit card debt, you're not going to put your money in a CD at 5%. You're going to pay the credit card down. Like that's how you handle it. That's what you do. It's really important that people understand how this works because in reality, you just need to focus on the right kinds of debt. Like if you have college debt, you might delay that. You might push that out. You might say, because you might have some really great interest rates. And you say to yourself, I'm going to tackle the largest debt that's not an investment debt. Like a house is an investment debt. A rental property is an investment debt. Like people who own real estate, they buy a property, they fix it up, they refinance it, and they go buy another property. So they have debt on the first property. They fix that one up. So there is good debt. There is what you call investment debt. Bad debt is credit card debt. And those types of things of getting rid of that and focusing on that this year of like, hey, how can I get to the end of the credit card debt? But then what's this other thing? Saving. And we talk about the emergency fund. And I think those things go hand in hand because you can't focus on every penny is out of my checking account off on my credit card and not have any cash to move or to feel safe and to feel secure that if something happens to your job. Because if we're going into a slower economy, there's people that are going to walk in one day not expecting their job to be gone, and it is. It happens every day. It's happened to a few clients already we've talked to.
Yeah, believe it or not, that emergency fund is so key for you to have. Really, it's a peace of mind factor for one. And a lot of what the exercise that we're going to be kind of walking through with you today is going to be kind of like some enhanced mental calisthenics, right? And so part of what we're just talking about right now is just kind of, well, here's the landscape, right? Here's the playing field that we're on. Now, you as this athlete that's going to walk into this, right? How do we get you to a place where you're mentally prepared? You've kind of gone through this practice outside of the playing field to know that you're going to have the best opportunity to be successful here. And we're going to get into some more of that, but just give you a heads up. This is just kind of the landscape. An emergency fund is in part, yes, it's a tool in your toolkit to have available because you just don't know what's going to come down the pipe, and you're going to need that there, especially when you're trying to tackle debt. But it works in tandem with this because it gives you the mental capacity to be able to attack that debt in a way that you're not going to be tripping over your own feet while you do it. And that's so key for this as well. And in simultaneous to that, we've got the number 3, which is retirement savings, right? Everybody that's in this conversation is saying, well, what about okay, this is how I'm going to take care of the now. And what about this retirement savings? How do I go ahead and engage it while I'm doing these other pieces as well? Now, we're going to get 3 balls rolling now if you've got this pay off debt and set up emergency fund. And oh my gosh, retirement savings. How many people just want to pull the sheets back over their head and go back to 2023?
I mean, the good thing about the retirement savings, and I know it's like every one of these items would keep checking off the list here. It's like it feels like as you're listening, my check's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, you know. But these are important things. And hey, by the way, these are not our top 4. I mean, these are like the classic top 4, you know, financially related resolutions, you know, probably in all of history. But, you know, the retirement savings one, that one is I feel like it's the least painful because you can just set it up to come right out of that paycheck. Right. Yeah. So before the money even hits your hand, the decision's been made for you. You've set that money aside. And, you know, particularly, you know, and I think we're going to hit on this again later on, but you got to get up to that match point. Take all the free money. You'll never regret that. So whatever it is, if presuming we're talking about 401k participants here, of course, if there is a company match, make sure you dial up your contributions to at least collect all of that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Dan, that's exactly where my head's going, right? So we were talking about paying off debt, setting up your emergency fund and retirement savings, and you're like, hey, listen, I just feel like I just chopped my paycheck in half or less. And that can be overwhelming and feel a little bit cumbersome, and that's why, you know, when you're trying to look at these things, you have to really, you know, manage through. First of all, if you're not getting a match on your retirement funds, okay, you know, and you're not putting anything in there to get that match, that's just silly. Like, you need to get that match. That is the freest money ever. That is part of your pay scale that they're just saying, hey, listen, we'll give you an additional portion of your pay, but it's got to be towards retirement. There's no reason not to do that. There is no exception to that rule, minus like losing your home, okay? That is something that is an absolute necessity. But feeling like that chop comes into play, and I think we're going to get back to this in a second, is that's where budgeting comes into play, right? All these pieces together feel overwhelming, like in a conversation, but when you budget them to take them off in little bites at a time, it's amazing how quick you can get yourself into a better spot.
You know, you're listening to Money on Tap, for one, and I love that you're here with us. You're going to get why I laugh here in just a second, because just last night we're driving down the road, and Julian's our 7-year-old, and he's asking Kara and I, he's like, Mommy, Daddy, would you rather have a Ford truck for $10,000 or a Tesla for a dollar? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'll take the Tesla all day long. It's not, I mean, if you were to put them side by side, I'd probably take the Ford truck, but you want to give me that Tesla for $1? I'm in. And I just had to pause for a second. I was like, you just described like the order of operations of financial planning. Thank you. In a very simplified term, that's what we're saying. Hey, your work's giving you a Tesla for $1. Take it. It's darn near free money, right? That's what we mean by that retirement savings account. The next we would say would be, you know, what is tax-free money or tax-advantaged money? Take a look at that. And then we start, you know, that's how we start to roll in this, and how we want you to start to think about this. Anyways, that was why I was laughing. Julian nailed it. And I wish I would have had that in my back pocket years ago. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Yeah, we're getting down to becoming resolute in your resolutions. We just ticked off what are the top 4 out there for pretty much everyone out there. The pay off debt, set up emergency fund, retirement savings. Well, we're about to get into the biggest, or the last. We haven't done all 4. We're about to get into the last, but not least. When we get back, we're gonna nail it down, and then we're gonna get into building your approach on this and how to start to tackle some of this and really make those changes last. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey guys, Seth Krussman with Brayshaw Financial Group. Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Look no further than Brayshaw Financial Group. Our team of experienced advisors is dedicated to helping beginners like you build wealth through smart investing strategies. Visit BrayshawFinancial.com today and start your journey towards financial independence. Brayshaw Financial Group, your partner in wealth creation.
We appreciate you listening to Money on Tap with Ben, Seth, and Dan. You can contact us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info at yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more of this week's program.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info at yourmoneyontap.com. As I promised, we will get into the final four, the fourth of our favorites among the financial resolutions, and that's budget. That must be done. Basically, it's an all-time favorite, of course, is like we've got to get a budget. And with that, what better to get you going in the right direction than getting your taxes on track? So many people out there, when we're talking about financial planning, we're like, okay, so let's take a look at the taxes, because everything runs through the taxes. And when we're talking about the taxes, guess what? We're talking about the budget. And it's just a hand-in-hand process. And so we want to just make sure that if you have questions about your taxes, if you are in this place where you're like, hey, 2024, I need to be more, right? We've talked about that. Let's go ahead and get that on track. Go ahead and get a hold of us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. In the subject, put taxes there. That way we know where we're talking about and where to go. And we're going to get back in touch with you, and we're going to get that ball rolling for you to make sure that your taxes are in alignment with that budget that you've really dreamt of staying on top of, keeping in line, understanding how is it accomplishing these other three pieces of pay off your debt, set up emergency fund, and your retirement savings. But we're going to take a new approach in this, okay? We're going to get into a new approach with you around being successful in your investing and really tackling what are your goals.
Seth, the process of financial planning and taking on a new approach is really just charting the path to realize those goals you're talking about. One of the things that's really missed in the conversation, right? We've talked about paying off debt, setting up an emergency fund, retirement savings, budgeting. Like these are like the four pillars or some crazy, sounds good acronym or what, I don't know, something that sounds good because those are important, but those are not all of them, right? I mean, we've done shows where we've listed, a litany of things you should do in your resolution process to be a better financial steward. This is the issue. You don't know how well or how poor you are doing in any of these, or all the different variants inside all of these that are relevant or irrelevant to you. And as a listener, you're probably saying to yourself, these all sound good and everything. I should probably pay some debt, and I should save more, and I should do this. But you really don't know how to do it. The vast majority of people don't know how to do it. Matter of fact, I was reading an article regarding Gen Zers, and 41% said that what was important to them this year, we should learn from the Gen Zers, because Gen Xers, baby boomers don't have budgets most of the time. There's just so many people out there that don't believe by a budget, but the Gen Zers, 41% said we want to live by a budget in 2024, like to the T, not like partially, not whatever, like a hard, firm budget. But how do you get there? Like all our listeners of all the demographics, how do you get there? What's this new approach? What I can't really describe to people is that you're sitting down with somebody who's an expert in financial planning, anybody that's a real expert, and they'll listen to your story. They'll listen to your emotions. They know how you feel, and they start to understand you and what you're trying to accomplish. And what they do is they literally extract from you all of the important issues. And somebody who's a good listener will start to, line out the scenarios of what you're trying to accomplish, and they start to try to find the flaws in how you're actually doing things, right? Because no one's perfect at anything. So if there's people with, we have people walk in and I'm the best, this, that, and the other thing. Well, then why are you here? That's okay. But everyone has flaws. Like Dan, how many times do I show you my portfolio? I'm like, hey, Dan, what do you see that I don't see? Right. I mean, I'm a professional. This is what I do for a living, but I'm also trying to make sure I'm not blinded by my own pride, or don't want to sell a stock that might be underwater that I think is really going to come back because I don't want to say I lost money and so like all of these different things. But as you're extracting that data from somebody and you're translating those emotions into a really core understanding of what they're trying to accomplish, and then you're starting to sit down and say, hey, this is what you could do better. Like, maybe you're not matching your 401k. That's just a blip on the radar screen for us. That's not even a priority. Like that's something we'll notice automatically. It's like starting your car. You stick your key in and you don't remember doing it. You know what I mean? Or you push the button and you don't remember. Like how many of us recall starting your car this morning? You know, you really don't. Or pushing on the gas pedal the entire ride to work. You know, like these are things that we have that are automatics. And as you're trying to extract that stuff, that's when your new approach reveals all your goals that you're trying to accomplish. And then all of a sudden, you can start crafting everything to line up for what you're trying to accomplish. Your investments fit the goals and the direction, the time horizon. What is it? Like, what risk am I willing to take to make this money? Like maybe it's a CD at the bank and we say, hey, listen, you're solved. Go find the best bank you can. Whatever that story is, that's really the approach that if you take that in 2024 and then compile that with all the taxes that need to be done, right? Like you have all these taxes, make this first quarter your time to realize your goals, put your taxes in line, establish all of the pieces you need to do to articulate your financial plan, your full retirement today. Give us a call. Like this is what we do.
Yeah, sometimes, when we meet with people, you're right, emotions fill the room. And, I think of another conversation we had where people are spending down money in their accounts, their household accounts, and it seemed as though they're just grabbing from the largest one and spending that first without any consideration to, is this qualified? Is this non-qualified? Is this a Roth account? They're spending IRA money when they're contributing to the 401k at the same time. And this kind of like disjointed circular spend mode that's going on when not the same conversation as a budget, but the same conversation as sitting down with a plan or someone who knows kind of what's best, even from a very simple perspective like that, can make all the difference in the world, particularly in the tax picture. So there's lots of things you can glean from a conversation with professionals like us here at Brayshaw Financial and others out there, that when you're trying to set yourself off on the right foot for this year, take the time to have that conversation, spend a couple minutes on a budget, bring it in, bring your goals in, have your priorities be understood, and help someone kind of cut the path for you and give you clear access to success.
I mean, I'd like to say that, a meeting with us is an hour. We actually tell people all the time, it'll be about an hour. We book 2 hours for every client or prospect meeting with somebody because it is literally a conversation. I love how you say that, Dan. It's just natural. It's a conversation because that conversation just reveals so much about you and who you are. And it allows you to prioritize the goals. It allows us to show you, hey, this is what you're saying is, and then we start asking you all sorts of questions and digging deep. And because it's about you, it's fun. It's fun. It's like, hey, that's really what I feel like. That's really what I want. Or I never really was able to articulate that fear or concern, but now I understand. And so, prioritizing your goals. And I think, Dan, you're making a really good point about, prioritizing how you utilize your assets to meet those goals. And that's really being missed by a lot of people in this industry because people are afraid of what's this going to cost me? How's this going to impact me? I had a bad experience with somebody in the past. I don't know who I can trust. There's 1,001 reasons why you won't sit down with anybody. But the truth is that you need help. So you've got to start somewhere. And that's one of the things. But making a plan to achieve those goals is our next point of the new approach. Make the plan. Whether it's us or somebody else, make a plan. Because if you can actually list down what your plan is, then you can figure out whether you're actually moving forward in it properly or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have expectations and these lofty, resolutions, so we can all make a list of the 10 different ways we'd like to be better people in the next 12 months. But
that's not going to happen for you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I got learning to fly on there, but you have to visualize and list along with that goal. And this is the new take on how do you become resolute in the resolution. Spend some time thinking about how you're going to achieve each and every one of these goals. Don't just make it an aspirational, hey, I want to do this, check. Spend some time thinking about talking to yourself and to people around you that support you and you trust, like your advisors, about how do I get there? What are the steps I need to take to make this actually possible?
Yeah, I want to just add to that in these goals. I mean, this is a great activity because you can get a lot of stuff out there. You can get a lot of not only goals, but the aspirations part as well, which I think is just as important in this. Some of us, have the tendency to kind of push those things down. And it's like, you know what? You've got one life. This is it. Get it out there. Get it on paper. Is it What's the big stuff that you want? And let's also take a look inside of that and say, what's short, what's medium, right? And then what's your long-term goals? And inside of that, we want to spend some time with you to develop that plan. You know, what are the pieces that you need to do? What's the action step inside of that short-term goal? And once you get that down, let's go ahead and take a break. And we'll come back with more Money on Tap for you. We got to do it. I know, but it's happening right now. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And we also just want to say, hey, thanks for subscribing to the podcast. We are very appreciative. And when you do that, send us a note at info@yourmoneyontap.com. Just hit subscribe.
Are you looking for personalized guidance to kickstart your investing journey? Look no further. Brayshaw Financial Group and our planners are here to help. Our team of experts will provide personalized advice tailored to your financial goals. Visit BrayshawFinancial.com today to schedule your free consultation. Brayshaw Financial, investing made easy.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more Money on Tap with Ben, Seth, and Dan.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Just a quick thanks to those of you that have already gone over and subscribed to the podcast. It's a huge help for us to just get that word out. Hey, that's part of our New Year's goals that we have here at Money on Tap. It's like we just really want to reach out to people and help people with their finances. And the more that you're willing to partner with us on that, thank you. It gets good information into people's hands that need to hear it. And this is a show for you. What we're about to talk about, you need to hear, because guess what? We're going to talk about a mind trap here that so many of us get into. Okay, one of the things I want to talk about here, first and foremost, is we just talked about short, medium, long-term goals, right? Okay, so let's reflect a little bit on that. Let's create some deeper motivation, okay, some real meaning and purpose. It's hard for a lot of us to kind of get into that emotion part of these things. You know, it's like, well, you know, I'm going to feel whatever. I'm going to accomplish whatever those things are. Try to spend a little bit of time with that. Okay, these are building blocks. And as you're building, you really have to pay attention to some of these keystones or cornerstones. There's significance and value in you tying these parts of you together. All right. Now I'm going to relate this back into that athlete that's getting on the field again. Okay. So field setup, you've got these goals out here you want to accomplish. You know the game. You, believe it or not, have already been rehearsing this game in your mind. Whether you want to or not, it's happening. Now, what we're going to be doing for you here is helping you to attach success in what you're thinking about and how you're feeling about these goals on a regular basis as you take that action towards these goals. So get those intention, get the thoughts, get the purpose in and around that, and think about what that successful outcome looks like for you. Okay? Put it out there for yourself. Pray about it. Okay, ask God, is there something else that I need to have in here? Is this the right, some of this will become more revealed as you work through it because plans change, things change, and that's part of the whole process. That's great. But what we want to start to do is engage that positive feedback loop for you, because that one that you've been using over here where you've been doing nothing and worrying about it all the time, that's the negative one. You got to get out of that cycle. So this is the process to help you to get out of that. Now, we're going to move on to some action. I just wanted to take some time with that little piece there. It's significant. Don't miss it. Don't skip it. Do it. It's going to make a world of difference, and it will actually accelerate the success that you start to experience in this.
I think the easiest way to say some of that, Seth, is, and I think what you're trying to say on some level is stop winging it,
Whoa.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
Seriously, you're not a star athlete. You walk on the court and, start shooting the basketball without having warmed up in the beginning of the game. I mean, everyone warms up. Everyone has a plan. Every coach has an idea of what they're going to do. A professional coach, what the objective of the game is. They know the other opponent. They've studied this. They've prepared. Now they're ready to launch. Now we're ready to play. we're ready to put our best on the court. We're ready to put our best on the field. Like, people don't go out haphazardly when they're trying to do something professional. And if you're taking your finances as something as less as than putting your best on the field each and every time, how are you possibly hoping to be really successful? I mean, even some of the greatest companies in the world lose money in the investment marketplace, and you think you're going to do it haphazardly? So misguided by our industry of like, well, just set it and forget it. I mean, that's winging it, you know? And so I think that's really where it comes down to. I think one of the things that we have connected with, in a term that a lot of financial professionals have on some level, is the concept of buckets. And, you know, buckets can be used in a lot of different illustrative ways. Sometimes people talk about buckets of money or this, that, and the other thing. But one of the ways to think about your money, and I liked this phrase, I wish I had coined it, but I didn't, is the idea of having three buckets of money. You have your liquidity, your longevity, and your legacy. And I think what's really great about that phrase is it speaks to the various time horizons and the very intentional nature of each of those buckets. Like, it's a very three-dimensional phrase. I'm going to say that again: liquidity, longevity, and legacy. I mean, it gives purpose, it gives meaning, it gives intent to the concept of money. I love that, Dan.
Oh, it's a great way to approach it, and you know, to break it down, you know, simpler for people. You know, the liquidity bucket needs to be something that's low risk in this environment, earning a great rate that's easily achievable, and it's accessible. Right, it's there for you. You set it aside for a purpose. To your point, Seth, it's something that you've envisioned that this money is meant for. Right, so you're not just stuffing it aside; you're putting it aside with a purpose, and you're keeping it liquid. So understanding that the day in which you're going to need that money to realize that dream is coming up soon. Then you get your longevity bucket, and now we're talking more about retirement planning, right? Things are going to be in that, you know, 5 to 10 to 20 year time horizon. So this is money that's set aside. It has a grander purpose in mind. It's not a quick expenditure. It's the money that's going to sustain you for a period of time, and that's where you move up the risk scale a little bit. Now we're talking about a balanced portfolio, a mix of equities and bonds. You need some of that upside performance. You need to capture the market here. So you do need to take on a little bit of risk at the very least.
Even retirement and that, you know, longevity story has its liquidity, its own liquidity story, and its own legacy story. And each of these things have each of their own stories inside that. So like when I think about liquidity, I think about liquidity never ends. So it's going to have its own longevity, its own legacy. You're going to leave it. You need to prepare each of these steps within each of those steps. I don't know if that three-dimensional thought really brings some clarity to it, but liquidity, longevity, and legacy. And that legacy piece is really understanding a lot of different pieces to finances, because it's not just the money, but you need to understand how your money is going to be left to people or organizations, or how you're going to mitigate taxes depending on your net worth, and all of these different pieces. But then it gets into the concept of estate planning and will preparation and trust preparation and power of attorneys and healthcare directives. And it's very complex. And I make this call out one last time to our listeners. You know, if you don't have a planner, you haven't sat down with somebody and really pulled out what those goals are, what that is, this quarter right now, sit down with us, no charge, get your 1 hour consultation with us, whatever. Figure out what those goals are. Take them home. Do what you want with them. Figure it out for yourself. Get your tax planning concepts in place. Sit with us for that. Talk to somebody who handles estate planning that's connected with our office. We have lots of different connections in that space. Just put it together this quarter. Do it this quarter. This quarter alone, no charge. Sit down with us for an hour. Figure it out. No obligation.
That's so good. That is so good to start 2024 with this in your back pocket. You've got an action plan. You've got an approach now that's going to be successful for you, moving the needle, moving the dial. And we're so glad to be able to partner with you here at Money on Tap at Brayshaw Financial Group. Guess what? I just realized so many people don't even know how to share. We're asking you to, help us share and get Money on Tap out. Give us a call at 855-226-8551. If you're just like, I'm not sure how to share this. I've got somebody that I really love to send this episode to and have, bless them with this information, then just give us a call. We're happy to help you. And every way we possibly can. That's what we're here to do. Now, with that, taxes, we've talked about this. We got to get back into the loop with you on this. If that's you and you're looking for some help to make sure your taxes are in line with your vision and your goals and your all of those things coming together for this financial plan and this 2024, send us an email at info@yourmoneyontap.com. Put taxes in the subject line, or just give us a call, 855-226-8551. I cannot wait to just knock it out of the park with you guys this year and just keep checking those boxes and moving forward and be successful in your investing. We'll see you here next week at Money on Tap.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.
Well, bye.